Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to Nev Reviews. In this episode we're going to be taking a look at this 2012 model Suzuki Swift. Now she's the 82S series, it's got the K14B engine, got some nice country to give it a test out, so come on, let's see how she goes. Alright, so first let's look at the interior. Fairly basic interior. All hard trims all throughout the car, so gonna be sort of, prone to rattling. Even the infill in the door, even though it's covered with fabric, she's still hard. Right. You get drink holders in the doors. They're not big enough to put a 1.25 litre bottle in though, only big enough for a 600. Plus your obligatory mat pockets. Glove box, big enough for about 1.5 pairs of thongs. These are unbranded of course because the channel is unsponsored. Come on guys, the email address is in the credits. Seats. The seats are actually quite comfortable. You even get a little bit of side bolstering, which is pretty uncommon in a small car. I mean, they're not soft or anything, and they're certainly not sports buckets, but they get the job done. The back of the car is much the same. Has power windows in the back as well. Same sort of theme throughout. Again, room for a small bottle, 600ml, plus about a 1/16 of a map goes in there. Little doohickey here on the back of the seat. Not sure what that's for, maybe an inbuilt knee massager for the passenger. Get little Star Wars droid head seat rests, and they're actually quite inconspicuous. You still get decent vision out the back, which is good. Now for the boot. Has a little rubber membrane release button, which I'm not really a fan of. Sort of thing that's going to wear through eventually, but anyway. So here's the boot. Look, you don't get oodles of room, but as far as boot space goes, you've probably got room for, I don't know, maybe 17 deflated beach balls. If we open up the carpet, we've got our tyre iron, the jack handle. Now the car only comes with steelies, and then for your spare you only get a little space saver steely. Alright, get your screw in tow hook and your scissor jack in there. Alright. Get hooks in the back of the seats to tie down your swagger beach balls or to tie down your baby. Alright. This side is of course, as you'd expect, the mirror version of the other side. The driver's door, you get the small bottle holder and the map pocket. You get your master switch for the windows and mirrors. Same sort of seat, steering wheel, hard dash that's going to creak and groan. Your HVAC controls, pretty basic, which is how I like it. All your controls are here, nice and accessible from the driving position. Your radio. Don't really cover radios on Nev Reviews because if you want a decent one you're going to change it anyway. You get a cigarette lighter port. Not sure what this... Oh wait a minute, I know what that's for. Yeah, nice. Pickle holder. Oh, that's sweet. get a little cubby down underneath them as well, and a little square shaped cup-ish holder there. I've put a coffee in there, works pretty well. You can also stand an iPhone up in there. You also get the same size one back here. Again, none of these holders are big enough to put a decent sized bottle of water, but I guess you only need like a 600ml bottle of water to go to church and back anyway. Another little teeny one in the back there, probably big enough for a can of V. Chrome button on the handbrake for that extra style. Simple shifter, no pretentious gate or anything on the auto, just a stick type auto with a button for release and a little button for overdrive on and off. So that pretty much does our interior. Oh, and here's something I really want to show you. The arm handles, right? Now, normally I wouldn't focus on something like this in a car, but just check this out. Now, that's what attaches these to the body, okay, which is fully hidden, but they've gone to the trouble of capping off the screws and hiding them. But not only that, watch what happens when you let them go. See that? They've made them soft close, so they don't just snap shut. They actually close with a nice slow pace, like a soft close drawer. Now that kind of attention to detail on something as unimportant as a grab handle really solidifies Suzuki build quality. I'm really impressed with that. Something so simple and they went to all that trouble, and all four in the car are like that. So they didn't even skimp and not give the driver one. The driver gets one too, and it's a nice soft close handle. So that's cool, hey? Alright. Let's see what she's like under the hood. Alright, so here's our engine bay. Our little 1400 motor. It's quite dusty because I, took it off the beaten track to really try it out for you. But let's have a poke around, shall we? So on the top here we've got our airbox. Now, it's easy to get to, but to take an air filter out of it, you have to detach the front part of this airbox and all the snorkel and everything, which is all screwed down. We've got our battery there. Got our little baby ECU there. Radiator looks quite accessible. And we've got the overflow bottle there to just keep it topped up. You can see our exhaust at the front and the O2 sensor. Now we've got our alternator down there running off that belt, and the water pump as well. And down this side you can see the AC compressor down there, which is running off the other belt. Dipsticks here at the back, nice and easy to get to. Got our brake master cylinder here and this reservoir on top. ABS pump. You can see our steering rack down there. Throttle body. Everything, because it's such a small engine, is pretty easy to get to on it. Looks like she's got a plastic thermostat housing assembly. You can see our injectors and our fuel rail there. Would be quite easy to get to with the airbox off. And you'd have pretty good access to the front of the motor once you've just got this engine mount out of the way. Alright, cool, so that pretty much wraps up the engine bay. Now as far as bodywork goes, hey look, it's not too bad. You have these big headlights which are polycarbonate, so you have to keep them nice and polished, otherwise they will yellow off. You can see these starting to already. H4 headlight globe, so it's nice and cheap. About 15 bucks a globe. Turn indicators in the mirrors. As far as the paintwork goes, it's pretty good. There's a little bit of orange peel in it, but not much. Body fit is good. And the build quality of the body is, you know, very, very nice. You don't seem to be able to adjust door hinges, maybe from the inside, definitely not from the outside. So that may be an issue once the hinges wear and the doors sag a little bit. But yeah, overall finish of the car is very nice. Brake wise, you get disc brakes on the front, but unfortunately you only get drum brakes on the back, so it leaves a little bit to be desired brake technology wise. But yeah, that's really about it. We better take it for a strap. So look, it drives really nice on the road. Feels nice and sturdy. Doesn't have a lot of road noise either, considering the fact that we're driving on gravel aggregate asphalt. It's you know, it's pretty damn quiet. It's got a really good turning circle. It's ideal for dodging, dipping, ducking, diving and dodging around town, in and out of the traffic, which is really, you know, what this sort of car is really designed for. It's a taking your little brother to school and then ducking down the shop to get some eggs kind of car. So, you know, it's going to be perfect for that. The little engine doesn't have a lot of torque, like it's certainly not going to pull the hair off a Wookiee, but it gets the job done. The interior's set out quite well. You have this nice leather-bound steering wheel, which feels nice to hold. You can feel the little nodules where they've stitched it on the end of your fingertips. Makes you feel all fancy. And of course, it's got some basic controls on here. Not really necessary because I can reach the stereo that it's controlling anyway, but at least it's not covered all in redundant controls. As far as the Stezza goes, it's an odd shaped special unit designed just to fit in the dash. So when it comes time to upgrade that to a new head unit, you're going to want to check if you can get a fascia kit first. Hopefully you can. Other than that though, no, it's pretty good. I mean, up hills it kind of struggles a bit, but you know, if I put my foot on the business pedal, it does drop down the gear and take it. The controls are all on the correct side. You have your indicators on the right, your wipers on the left. You have a full instrumentation dash, you have a tacho, a speedo, fuel gauge and a temperature gauge, which isn't available on all models these days, so that's a plus. But yeah, it's really a nice unit to drive. Transmission's beautiful, nice and smooth. You do have to kind of direct it into which gear you want. Like, it doesn't seem to change down as quick as I really like it to. But you can, of course, rip it back on if you need to. Use that sweet compression. seats are quite good to sit into, so you really don't feel fatigued at the end of the day. I have done some fairly high kilometre days, and it's pretty good. Now if you hang on to your chickens, we'll try the brakes from 90. Yeah, it pulls it up pretty good, considering the fact that it's only got discs on the front, drums on the back. It does quite a good job. Visibility out of the vehicle is very, very good. There's no big bulky A-pillars or B-pillars or anything. The windscreen is in a good position. It's set forward and it's not too big, so it doesn't come back over you with the sun beaming in on your head. You're protected by the roof, but you can still see out of it well. There is a back pillar, but it's not very big. It's quite easy to see out of. It's good for reversing. Even with back headrests in the back seats, it's still easy to see out the back window. Looking backwards in the mirror, it's basically the same size as the aperture of the mirror, so it works out perfectly. So visibility I rate really well. It handles itself well in the twisties as well. I wouldn't say it sticks to the road, but it copes with the road well, even with the little skinny tyres. I guess we probably should try her out at night, eh? Alright, so here's how she looks at night. We got white backlighting on the instrument cluster with the warning zones marked in red, which is good. The rest of the backlighting in the car is red, which is a little aggressive on the eyes, but at least it's not what you're always watching. Now you can dim the gauges, so I couldn't figure it out for a long time, but then there's a little knob on the actual dash, which is, you know, a little inconvenient, but it's not something you adjust often, so I guess it doesn't really matter. Other than that, no, it's all pretty good. Now the headlights, this is low beam. So I can see in front of me okay. Now if I switch it to high beam, this particular unit needs to be adjusted up a little bit, but the headlights work okay. The field of vision could be a little bit further if they were adjusted properly, but other than that, you know, they do the job. Yeah, alright, so look, it does have a couple of rattles in the front end when you're going slow like this over a gravel road. It's really nothing major, but it does sort of get annoying. You can hear it there. You can't feel it through the steering wheel. I suspect it's probably just the brake calipers rattling on the slide pins, but that's, you know, just guessing. Other than that, she handles herself well on the dirt. Suspension works well. It's easy to manoeuvre. Wouldn't really call it a rally car, but you know, if you want to get her sideways, you probably can. Alright, guess it's time to rate this bad boy, hey? It's not a bad car. Suzuki's always had a reputation of being a well-built car. They're full of nip and denso electronics, which makes them very, very reliable, and they've got a really good build quality. I really enjoyed driving the car. It could probably have a few more cubes, give it a bit more curry, but I mean, like I said, it's just a runabout town kind of car. Go and get some milk on a top-up day, and that's really about it. Not the sort of thing you're going to carry passengers in, but if you really wanted to and you had a nice downhill trip, you could throw some in the back. They'd be quite comfortable. It's got a nice solid engine. Now this unit's got 140,000 kilometers on it, so it's well run in, and the whole time I've had it, it hasn't had a bad noise in the engine. It doesn't rattle when it's cold or anything. It doesn't make any knocks and bags when it's hot. Goes well. Hits power band about 5,000 RPM. Must be when the variable valve control kicks in and you get a little bit of a push back into the seat. Nothing that's going to push your head back into the headrest, but hey, it's not a Porsche. So for engine, I give it a 4 out of 5. For transmission, beautiful smooth transmission. It works well. You can just use it as a manual if you want. There's no pretentious gating or anything like that. You don't have to worry about paddles. In a car like this, you're not going to use them anyway. Just stick it in D and put your noise pedal down. Away she goes. You do kind of need to prompt it into what to do. You need to give it a bit more foot than you have to make it kick down a gear, but you can always just rip it back by hand anyway, and away she goes. So for transmission, I give it a 3.5 out of 5. It's, you know, pretty good, but it could be better. Now as far as functionality goes, which we're going to cover a fairly broad spectrum of things about the car. The interior is quite well laid out. There's lots of little storage cubbies everywhere. They could be bigger. They're not really big enough to keep your man-sized water, keep you going all day. You're going to have to put a series of little bottles scattered all through the car to keep you going, but that's okay. It's quite comfy to drive. The seats feel nice. There's no blind spots to speak of in the car. It's nice and easy to see out of. Everything works well in the car. It doesn't have disc brakes, which is a letdown. It's only got drums on the back, which are, you know, they don't work as well. They're more expensive to service. But, you know, a lot of small cars don't these days. Now, a really positive thing about the car is that it's got a VIN starting in JSA, which means it's made in Japan. And that's pretty rare to find a small car these days that's not made in the back streets of Europe somewhere. So that's a really, really good thing in my books. You're going to get good reliability and nice build quality. So for a functionality rating, I give the car a 4 out of 5. Now, as an overall rating, I really like the car. It's easy to drive, it's got a great turning circle, it's built well. Really the only things that I think they could improve on is put a few more cubes in the motor and put disc brakes on the back. But as a whole, I would recommend it to any one of my friends and family to own this car. So I give the Suzuki Swift an overall rating of 4.5 out of 5. That's pretty darn good. So that pretty much sums up this episode of Nev Reviews. Thank you for tuning in. Now please make sure you hit us up on our socials at Gossam Media. Make sure you follow us there and also subscribe to us here on our channel. That way you'll be notified when our next fine review drops. Until then though, I guess that's it guys. And quite handy. See you next time on Nev Reviews. Bye.